Welcome back to Useless Information. This is the 25th/27th episode of this series, which somehow still exists, probably because of my lack of creativity. This series is almost 4 years old now. Holy shit. You can find a link to the full playlist here and at the end of the video if you want to binge this for some reason. As always, I've killed the first 4 because, but they're still there if you want to see them. Anyway though, let's stop here and begin with the facts. Terraria's app ID on Steam is 105,600, whereas Team Modloaders is 1,281,930. I'm pretty sure these are assigned chronologically. If so, the length discrepancy would make sense since Terraria came out 9 years before Team Modloader on Steam. In 1.4.0.1, the Crimson Rod got slightly more orange. It's quite difficult to see, but the Star Cannon actually has a little iron sight on the top of the barrel. It must be slightly easier to aim than the Mini Shark, which basically tells you to fall off a cliff and die, aim-wise. No damn sights there, not even an attempt. There are 5 trading cards from the Collector's Edition that have attack values of 0. One of these is a dirt block, and 3 of them are NPCs, which back in the 1.1 era could not attack at all. This all makes sense. However, for some reason, the Wyvern also has a listed damage value of 0, even though they can very much attack in the game and are indeed quite deadly. They should have a listed damage value of 40. This fact comes courtesy of Philippe K. While booleans, true-false values, are typically stored as a full byte, or 8 bits, for certain things, like accessories hidden states, Terraria actually uses binary operators to pack multiple booleans into a single byte. This really isn't a space-saving thing. Nowadays we have so many bytes that using a full byte to technically and efficiently store a boolean is absolutely insignificant. It's just interesting that some booleans in Terraria are handled differently than others. Of all the fence inventory sprites, only the bamboo fence is asymmetrical, with a prominent rope tie on the right fence pole. The ashwood fence is also technically asymmetrical, but that's because it's the only fence that doesn't have the familiar 2-pole sprite in the inventory. Before 1.4, the lamppost furniture item did not count as a light source for housing validity. Tmod's monthly update posts are often posted twice in the wrong month. For example, February's post was posted on the 2nd of February, while March's post was posted on the 28th of February, not the 1st of March. This is also true of November and December, September and October, etc. The only updates in the past year posted in the same month they correspond to, and are the only update posted in that month, are January 2025 and August 2024. As of March 3rd, 2025, at 10:21 p.m. UTC, the Terraria Discord server has 613,152 members and about 131,800 online members. The actuation rod's description is activates actuators, which is, well, what it does. It's still just sad that it's not actuates actuators instead, though. The axe of regrowth used to be significantly shorter before its sprite was significantly lengthened alongside most other melee weapons in 1.4.1.9 in order to fit better with new consistent 1x scaling guidelines. This by itself isn't notable, but it's just that a weapon introduced in 1.4.4 with its brand new sprite still needed to be updated. That's interesting. The poisoned and on fire debuffs both have the tooltip slowly losing life, whereas the other DOT debuffs, Acid Venom, Curse Inferno, Suffocation, Burning, and Shadow Flame, all just say losing life. This makes sense as On Fire and Poison are the weakest DOT debuffs in the game, inflicting only 2 or 4 HP per second of damage to the player. Where this falls apart is on the Hellfire debuff, the more powerful hardwood version of On Fire, which deals 15 HP per second. Despite it being very powerful, its tooltip is still slowly losing life. Wearing the reflective shades protects you from the stone debuff caused by Medusa's gaze, but does not make Medusa stone herself. I guess she's immune. Some liquid falls can be combined visually, such as lava water, water honey, and shimmered water. Other liquid fall combinations have no visual effect. The Unholy Trident is a much sadder looking trident than the Inferno Fork, at least in the stabby department. Now in the magic department, the Inferno Fork is still better. Despite the symbol for the Pirate Invasion being both a cutlass and a revolver, there is no revolver obtained from the event. The only gun dropped in the event is the coin gun. When running on the ground, the Hemogoblin Shark seems to be crouching for whatever reason. We get a much better look at its true length when it's swimming, and it's quite long. Buff, too. In the eyes of Terraria lore, Nikola Tesla still existed. The bestiary entry for the Tesla turret refers to him as a historic Terraria. So historic that even the Martian engineers named their design after him. The pinwheel and the pin flag's animation speeds are affected by the current wind speed. When it's really windy and rainy, I think it makes for a really cool looking effect. Look at that flag barely hold on. Every team's sword icon has a hilt roughly similar to the color of the blade itself. For example, light green with green on green team, except red team, which has a gray hilt, and white/no team, which has a golden hilt. Vertical liquid falls, created by hammering blocks below a water source, have different lengths based on the viscosity of the corresponding liquid. Water and shimmer have equivalent and low viscosity, followed by lava, which is significantly more viscous, and finally honey, which is the most viscous. You can also see the viscosity difference in the animation speed of the corresponding liquid fall walls, although I imagine they aren't perfectly proportional. Teal mushrooms used to have a color much more similar to the resulting dye, but they've become darker post 1.4. The dye's color is still unchanged though. I've played almost 6,000 hours of Terraria across my lifetime, and I've just now realized that salmon, as a fish in Terraria, exists. I've run into every other kind of fish many times, just not salmon. That's probably because it can only be fished in a forest biome with bodies of water greater than 1,000 or more tiles, and bodies of water that large just don't spawn in forest biomes. That's ocean size, hence why I never ran into one during my playthroughs. It looks pretty nice and tasty though. Until 1.4.4.8, getting the Gelatin Crystal, the boss summoning item for Queen Slime, didn't award you with the Like a Boss achievement, the achievement for getting any boss summoning item. This is a typical 1.4 achievement oversight, albeit a very minor one. Living garden gnomes petrify into their inanimate counterparts when exposed to sunlight, which can then be used as decoration or to passively increase your luck. The achievement for petrifying a gnome is named Heliophobia, which comes from the Greek roots helio, meaning sun, and phobia, meaning fear of. The Mushi ladybug's name is possibly a double pun. First, Mushi sounds a lot like mushroom, which makes sense given that it's a glowing mushroom bioenemy, and second, Mushi in Japanese means bug or insect, which, well, it also is. There are 5 distinct coin pickup sounds, and if you've played the game, you've definitely heard of these thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of times. The Horseman's Blade, unlike most broadswords, can only hit a finite number of targets per swing, in this case, 3 targets. This is probably to prevent hits on hit ability from proccing too often and being unbalanced. Before 1.2.4, in order for natural pirate invasions to spawn, a shadow orb needed to be destroyed. This is quite an unrelated requirement, so it makes sense why it was removed. And lastly, the princess has a line. I once met with a duke on the beach. He looked kinda fishy and lacked good manners. The mental imagery of the princess meeting up with Duke Fishron in like an actual formal royal court meeting is really funny to think about. Speaking of aristocratic life, another very interesting line from her is one praising the tax collector, saying he's terribly misunderstood and very kind to me. I wonder why the aristocracy would like their noble tax collector. Who gets their taxes, ma'am? Hello, thank you for watching the newest episode. You can watch the series starting from the first passable episode using this playlist on the left. Consider subscribing if you like the series, as only about a quarter of you do. Either way, thank you for watching, and good day and goodbye. See you next month.